All right, welcome back, everybody, to the BSL Season 7 round of 16. I'm Rapid, with me is Nyoken, and of course, Zero behind the scenes, and all of you guys in chat. A big thanks to everybody who has been following, donating, whatever. It's always nice to see so much support. Actually, we're at almost 400 viewers, so thanks to everybody for just watching. So cool to see everybody tuning into BSL. Also, just want to mention, if you are just now tuning in, you haven't been following BSL this season, Team Liquid had just released a really sick recap prediction kind of thread about the BSL round of 24 and then a round of 16 as well, with some predictions that may or may not come true depending on how these last two series go. Because coming up, we've got UltrA versus TerrOr. It's going to be Peru versus Chile, a South American battle going on here, so I guess they're gonna have really good ping against each other. I don't know, but I also don't know who's gonna get out, although I do expect TerrOr to have a little bit of a better chance.
I don't know how well UltrA plays TVT, but I assume it's probably pretty good, and since they are both in South America, they probably play versus each other a lot, so there could be a bunch of mind games going on. So this should be an interesting TVT.
Yeah. So we do have a few maps for this matchup. Looks like we are going to be starting on Gladiator and then moving from Gladiator to not Power Bond. Surprise! We're mixing it up for you this time. It's Sylphid, then Power Bond. I know, I'm sorry, but we had to do it for one match at least. So Gladiator, Sylphid, Power Bond is the map list. It's TerrOr versus UltrA, and one of these players will be knocked out of the BSL. The other one will go on to face DeWalt in our epic final match. So without further ado, let's get into game number 1 on Gladiator. All right, starting down in the bottom right-hand corner in the extra dark navy blue, which looks actually really cool on the shiny sides of the command center. This is our Terran player, UltrA.
In the top right, in the lighter blue, it is TerrOr. We talked about this in earlier stages, the power of Peru, right? TerrOr's the one from Peru, so he should just by default have a little bit extra power going for him. Like every Peruvian made it out, didn't they? DN Max, TerrOr.
Yeah, who were the other?
Castro? Was it Castro?
We had TerrOr, Gosu Dark. Yeah.
Gosu Dark.
It was Gosu Dark, TerrOr, Castro, and DN Max. Yeah, our 4 Peruvian players that all made it out, which is really crazy. And then Babo made it out from Peru, and I was just like, wow, we're gonna have lots of South American players. But obviously, TerrOr is insane. He's such a good player. He would probably be favored to make it out of just about any group, except for this one where we have so many badasses. Like, I can't wait. I would say that as far as South American Terrans go, or just non-Korean Terrans, TerrOr is way up there. But now UltrA stands in his way. So let's see how this match is going to go. If there's any like really build discrepancies. Nothing so far.
Well, TerrOr is just going for a standard rack, so is UltrA, standard gas timing. Thought we might see a 14 command center from one of these players, but so far that is not the case. And the real thing I'm looking for is how many Marines are either of these players going to build. A lot of times you're seeing people skimp out on Marines, get out their factory much faster. This time TerrOr's going to get off a first scout. That's going to be really nice. UltrA, is he going to scout the center? Yeah, he's going to scout the center. He knows who he's playing against. TerrOr. Definitely somebody proxy. Oh, he's not going to scout the center. That's pretty rich. Okay, what are you doing, UltrA? You're going to scout the center now. He sees nothing.
This is the backwards center scout. They'll never expect me to scout from this direction. But yeah, he is going to scout correctly in the end. Just a little bit slower. Both players should be pretty well aware of what each other's up to.
Now, TerrOr did build a Marine first, so his factory should be a little slower than Ultra's, yet somehow they are equal in the timing. I don't know how that happened, but really nicely done. It's so important to get your factory up as fast as possible. If you get your factory like 5, 6, 7 seconds faster than the opposing player, all of a sudden you're the one that could potentially go tank first. And then if the other player opens Vulture and does nothing, you just rally a tank across the map. And how does the opposing player deal with it? So we'll have to wait and see if either player's can go straight add-on. With the factories being such an even timing, it'd be pretty risky to go straight add-on.
Yeah, and especially when you don't need to take any of these risks early on. Like, yeah, just play a little bit more standardly. And so far the builds have been pretty mirrored. I mean, like you said, even though there should be maybe one advantage one way or another, it looks like there's not extremely. I mean, oh no, a one marine advantage, ooh, scary. But now we're actually going to see the first divergence. TerrOr throwing down the starport.
Yep, starport for TerrOr. No add-on, no Vulture at all for TerrOr either. But UltrA has a Vulture for himself. He's making a second Vulture, and his SCV is set up like he wants to go into a fast second factory. Now, the Rax saw the bunker, and really the only time you build a bunker like this is if you went for a starport follow-up. I wonder if UltrA recognizes that, because if he does, puts down an armory, this build that TerrOr's going for is already kind of in the dumps. We could set up a big contain with an overwhelming amount of tanks, since UltrA already has his add-on and has a second factory going up and a third factory going up.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Lots of factories coming in for UltrA. And I guess this is kind of the other way to play. Although I would say I would kind of expect him to do a little bit more scouting with his barracks, although I guess maybe he doesn't totally need to see everything. You will see the timing on the SCVs coming down to mine, which is exactly the same as his, so no mystery there.
Now, UltrA has started to build tanks. I'm trying to see if we have an armory anywhere. Does not look like it. Now, it is only one Wraith, and a lot of times you follow up with an add-on going to a dropship, but we'll have to wait and see if TerrOr wants to continue to make Wraiths. What's he going to do with this? But even if the Wraith doesn't get damage done, at least he gets to see what UltrA is doing. Oh, he's just going to kill the barracks.
I mean, maybe it's just better to go for the sure thing. I don't know. I would have liked to see the scout at least. Although I guess, Terran, so he's got plenty of different ways to do that. Although probably would prefer just flying the Wraith over. Gonna take out the barracks, so we'll suicide into the base. That's the only thing literally going on at this point. But I would say that, there's that 2-worker advantage. Oh no, I can now talk about that thanks to this unit counting station that we have up there. So sick.
Well, even though TerrOr doesn't get into the base to see what's going on, he does kill the Ract, which a lot of times forces the Terran player to build an academy faster than they want to, potentially put down a 4th and 5th factory faster than he wants to. And UltrA didn't do that, so he's gonna have to rebuild his barracks. Vulture run by.
Wait, what? Wow. Okay, well, they're gonna get in. I actually thought it would have been TerrOr, the one to get the Vulture run by, because he is so well known for that. But nope, instead, he's gonna get way back into the back, delay the academy actually for quite a bit here. Eventually, these Vultures will get picked off. Actually, one looks like it might escape here. But still, delaying a factory building, delaying an academy. Wow, he's getting back in again.
Yeah, this is really nicely done from UltrA. Not only does it kill multiple SCVs, it killed the SCV building the academy and the factory, delays that, sees that there's no add-on on the starport. He doesn't have to worry about a drop. And behind this, he's got his Goliaths coming out. He's got tanks coming out of his add-on. And he could set up into a containment already, because what does TerrOr have? He has 2 tanks, and there's a lot of Ultras with spider mines out on the map. It would be so hard to break a contain. I'm loving UltrA's current position right now.
Yeah, minefield set up, so even if he does get maybe counterattack, that's not going to work out very well. I would almost expect to see UltrA look for a way to find a big opportunity to drop in the back of the base, but obviously he's not prepared for that in any form of the word. Just out getting siege mode actually, so I'm still pretty impressed. TerrOr actually hiding the Wraith down in the bottom left-hand corner. Still have yet to see this really. I mean, I guess it paid for itself from taking the barracks down, but you know, it's looking for anything suspicious out on the map.
Yeah, this Wraith really is just designed to get some intel on the build that the opposing Terran player is doing, and also allows you to get some drops out and draw the opponent out of position. But UltrA, he's not out of position at all. He's just got Mind Contain on both sides of the map. He's going into 5 fact himself. He's matching the factory count from TerrOr. I'm a little surprised that neither player tried to take an expansion just yet, because it looks like both players are just setting up to kind of stall the game out. We see the tank line on TerrOr's side of the map.
I mean, I would say if you had to pick a player, I mean, obviously things seem pretty even right now. What do you think is working out better this game? It seems like UltrA might have a slight lead. Would you agree?
Yeah, UltrA's definitely got advantage right now. He's got mines, whereas TerrOr doesn't. He's got an even tank count. I'd like to see him put like 2 tanks where these mines are at the top side of the near TerrOr's natural, then take mid right, and then just spam turrets. That not only is a easy base to defend, but also prevents drops coming in from TerrOr's side if you spam a few turrets. So that would be a great base to take. But neither player are doing that. They're just content going 5 fact, which is somewhat unusual because it's kind of hard to break a Terran line. Like, you don't just run into it and assume you're going to break it. It's, you know, it's not Terran versus Zerg or Terran versus Protoss. Usually the defending player has the advantage. So I'm a little surprised neither player is expanding, really.
Yeah, I mean, especially given the kind of lockdown ability that just laying all these mines out there has. Obviously now TerrOr is starting to catch up just a little bit, laying his mines out along the 6 o'clock pizza wedge, I guess if you want to call it that. He's actually laying them down in the valley, and now actually trying to break into the 6 o'clock location. Just takes the vulture out that was waiting on the top of the map, and just makes sure that there's nothing going on down there.
Well, we have a distinct difference between the army comps right now, and that is that we have a vessel out for TerrOr, and if UltrA's been diligent with his scouting, he should see that TerrOr has no expansion. There's also +2 coming in for TerrOr, so that's also going for him, and that's a key break point because you're going to start 2-shotting things. So UltrA should know that TerrOr's intention is to bust somewhere, so he needs to set up a big tank line with tons of mines and make sure he's not out of position, because if TerrOr finds one hole with defensive matrix on tanks, he's just going to steamroll all the way to the main.
Yeah, that could actually just end the game right there. So, whew. Gotta watch out. The unsiege from TerrOr. Where are we going? I'm waiting. All right. We got our hotkeys. It's ready to go. And now moving out. Now, obviously, the tank's on the pizza wedge. We'll see this first. A couple of pot shots on the vultures as they move forward. Let's see what we got. The D matrix on the tank. Here we go. Leroy Jenkins. That tank's going to soak up all the hits, dies to the mines instantly, with the vultures getting on top of the tanks. They're going to start laying their mines, or actually just kill off the tanks by themselves here. Only a couple of tanks left here, but they're still getting the shots down that they need. But look at that, TerrOr flawlessly breaking through the first line of UltrA's defense.
Yep, and look at the anti-air for UltrA. He doesn't have any. This one Wraith that TerrOr has could slowly just poke away at these tanks and allow TerrOr to get into a better position. And also, TerrOr has vision advantage, so he can slowly creep and try and pick off straggler tanks like he's doing right now.
Perfect. Oh my goodness, this is so classic. I mean, even just like the one science vessel, but I mean, even with UltrA running a couple of vultures forward to try to get some splash damage, it's kind of a last-ditch effort. And now all of a sudden TerrOr has exploded out of the map. It's not really about the supply lead. The positional advantage TerrOr has right now is huge.
Yeah, he's got a massive lead. He's unsieging his right side. He wants to get in range of at least the mineral line. Here comes UltrA, though. He does not want these tanks to get any closer, but he doesn't have enough, I don't think. Also, he has to factor in the high ground advantage for TerrOr. Most of his attacks aren't even getting... Oh, that was a good hit there, taking out 2-3 tanks from TerrOr.
Yeah, oh my god, this is so huge. Back and forth, and UltrA fighting back so well, but he doesn't have the air advantage. So this pizza wedge that TerrOr has control of is just going to be so much more difficult to take over. Now, running the Vultures forward to try to tank things up, D-Matrix on a tank, but it's actually not the one taking fire. Finally, it's starting to tank a few hits. And it does get the value trade, but will go down in the end.
Oh, this is so close. TerrOr has way fewer tanks than UltrA does right now, and UltrA has a lot more production. He's already at 8 factory. Meanwhile, TerrOr's 7 factory has just come up. UltrA, he's gonna push it back, and he's got way more econ. He's got 4 base. It all comes down to this: can these tanks hold on for TerrOr, or is UltrA gonna bust through?
Well, everything explodes in the no man's land, but finally, it feels like UltrA has maybe a little bit of a better arc. Either way, I mean, there's still the Wraith advantage for TerrOr, so eventually these tanks are going to get pushed back unless, okay, the one Goliath, never mind. The Goliath fires one missile and the Wraith just explodes.
Yeah, there's so few defense for TerrOr right now. I would love to see an SCV pull to try and just wipe this out. Meanwhile, there was a Vulture run by the top middle, which drew the units out of position. UltrA, I really think he should have tried to make a move to bust it down, because there's only 4 tanks. They're all within 1 hit of being taken down from a tank shot. But UltrA, he's going to continue to try and harass top middle, but TerrOr sees it with these mines, so very nicely done strategically placing those mines, and it actually seems we're going to stabilize him here. But look at the supply from UltrA. TerrOr was up 20 supply a moment ago, now he's down 15 supply.
What is happening? This is so back and forth. I love it. UltrA, actually, you know, for as much as we've called him an underdog, is playing an incredible game so far. To have lost that position in the middle of the map, and now to have fought his way all the way back, taking out the remainder of TerrOr's tanks out on the map.
Yeah, now UltrA, don't get too greedy and try and fight up high ground here. Oh, the mines could potentially kill all these tanks.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is so crazy. I'm waiting for just a giant explosion, but focusing down the mines, working out very, very well. The Goliath actually pushing back the Wraith almost immediately, and now that Science Vessel pushed back as well. Oh, this is so tense and crazy, but it feels like, I don't know, neither player has a real advantage. If anybody, it's UltrA with a slight supply lead, but here comes TerrOr pushing through.
Yeah, and UltrA also has +2 weapon. Oh, another defensive matrix. Perfect. Gonna soak up a lot of hits. The tanks are firing on top of that D-Matrix tank. Oh, good mine hit takes it out. And UltrA is gonna hold on. And he's on 4-5 base. Look how fast he's expanding across the map.
Damn, this is so sick for UltrA. Not only able to play defensively, but actually playing aggressively, retaking this territory. Man, I love what TerrOr is doing with, like, either the Wraith or especially the Science Vessel with the D-Matrix to try to break forward. But it's just not breaking his way. He's down in bases. He's now down in army supply. UltrA's got a 20 supply lead.
Yeah, and I would love to see UltrA start mixing in some Wraiths of his own, because what's been the anti-air defense for TerrOr this whole game? Have you seen a single Goliath? I haven't. The Wraith went down. If UltrA showed up with even 3 Wraiths, he would push TerrOr all the way back to his main. And UltrA already has the entirety of the bottom side of the map. He would be in a fantastic position, but as played, he's still in a fantastic position.
Well, here comes UltrA running a bunch of Wraiths through. Can't quite make it up the ramp, so he's going to try to barge his way up with mines. Those get focused down expertly. TerrOr holds on to the 6 o'clock base, but, you know, just that sentence, TerrOr holding on to the 6, I'm like, well, dude, UltrA has every other base on his side of the map.
Yeah, he has everything. You see TerrOr going for a hidden base at mid-left. I don't agree with this attack. TerrOr's trying to, oh, I guess he's kind of responding, but there's just so much from UltrA right now. The Vultures are soaking up so many hits. The mines, oh my god, a big hit on that tank, and they all go down.
Damn. Okay, well, that's one way to do it. Wow, imagine playing so that that's your strategy. It's not the whole thing, but it definitely does help.
Well, we've got a huge Vulture counterattack to bottom middle, wipes out the entire base. So this game is getting nuts. A lot of econ wiped out for UltrA. He's got the mine out in his main, mine out in his natural. He needs to get another base going pretty soon, but he's got other plans. He wants to just kill TerrOr. TerrOr has 1 tank. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's going to do it. I mean, UltrA seems like he's just going to steamroll at this point. Wow, a D-Matrix tank, wow, but even that's just going to explode almost instantly. And now, slowly but steadily, TerrOr losing ground.
Well, you still can't count out TerrOr just yet because the Vultures are still doing work at that bottom base, wiping it out again. TerrOr, our Ultra still has good bank though. He's just pushing it. He doesn't care about this one Wraith. He takes out the vessel also, and now he's on top of the natural. He's going to have a huge containment. Ultra has done it. SCV's being pulled, tanks going down.
Yeah, and everything that TerrOr sends out to try to deal with this just dies instantaneously. This is it. I think the Ultra is just in too good a spot. I mean, sure, the Vultures will eventually kill off the 6 o'clock command center at, but I mean, I don't think Ultra's lacking in bases. If anything, this finally lets him saturate the other ones that he got up ahead of schedule. So now this just gives Ultra the ability to push further and further into the natural. And I don't know if there's too many ways. I mean, no matter how many cloaks raised you have, you're not breaking this.
This was impressive. Like, every time Ultra attacks, as soon as he busts a line, he insta-unsiege and pushes it farther, and pushes it farther, and pushes it farther. You're not seeing him just set up a tank line and sit there and let TerrOr retake whatever position he had. He's just continuing to push it down TerrOr's throat, and now TerrOr's on the brink of losing. There it is. GG.
Wow, Ultra takes game number 1 here, and I did not expect that. Incredibly well played there by Ultra. I feel like he was never really under the gun. Like, TerrOr made this really strong D-Matrix tank push out and took control of a powerful spot near Ultra's base, but his macro was just so good. He retook that space almost instantly, and even though TerrOr had a lot of air control with like a Wraith, a Science Vessel, some D-Matrices, Ultra just killed it. Like, he had such good back row. He took every base on his side of the map. Ooh, might be scary for TerrOr.
Yeah, when Ultra took that mineral only, I was just thinking, we know that TerrOr's busting, and now you're just going to let him siege this high ground, and the mineral only really is not going to help you out. But Ultra managed to hold it. I was really worried. And also, when you build that many factories that fast, it can cut into your tank production as parent. So I thought for sure TerrOr was going to bust through, but Ultra made it work, and you can see he's a macro god. I didn't realize that Ultra could macro that well. It's really hard to break tank lines like that, and he did it.
Yeah, he really did. Super impressed by game number 1. But, you know, it's not over yet. We've got game number 2. It's not on Power Bond. We moved on to Sylphid first this time, or second, I guess. And so Ultra has a real shot here. If he wins this game, he's not out of the woods just yet. There's still DeWalt waiting for the winner of this series, but taking out TerrOr would be a huge boost in momentum. So let's get into it. Game number 2. It's on Neo Sylphid. TerrOr down 1 game against Ultra, who is poised to advance out. So let's get into it. Game number 2 coming up. All right, here we go. At the 12 o'clock location, in the white, as Terran, this is TerrOr.
And in the bottom right, we got the red Terran. It is Ultra. The opener that TerrOr went for, usually you have way less units than the opposing player when you open Wraith like that, because you spend starport, you spend money on the starport, then you spend money on the Wraith, and each one of those things costs 100 gas, which could have been a tank. So I was very surprised that TerrOr was the one busting, because usually it's the opposing player to go for that bust. But that was a strong push from TerrOr. I really like the defensive matrix mixed in. If you guys watch Artosa's stream, he mixes in like 5 vessels and goes for like 10 defensive matrix. It's incredibly strong. Like, you used to never see that in TVT. I think Fantasy all the way back 10 years ago started using it, and it's pretty deadly. I wish more people would use D-Matrix.
I mean, it's a great idea, but a couple of the times that TerrOr was trying to do it, he like ran into a bunch of mines and his stuff still exploded, and it would have exploded without the D-Matrix anyway. So, you know, I'm like, wow, sick, D-Matrix, nice. But it's a great idea, right? Because in theory, you just tank the first hit and then run up and get your siege off first, get the shot off first, and that's how you win the tank versus tank. Although I will say that I see a lot of TVTs, especially like the long macro ones, just rely on racing to that +2 upgrade to make sure that you get the tank advantage.
Yeah, the 2-shot advantage, it's a crucial upgrade because as soon as you hit it, there's no amount of armor the opposing player can get to counteract it. They could have +3 armor. The tanks will still 2-shot. So it's imperative that you get +2 as fast as possible. And TerrOr got it. And UltrA matched it somewhat quickly, but there was definitely about a 1.5 minute advantage for TerrOr. So unfortunately, TerrOr couldn't make that advantage work out, but we do have mirrored builds in this game. We've got 12 gas on both sides. Is either player going to continue to mine gas? UltrA did not get a first scout off, and maybe TerrOr will be the one to go for. Nope, he did pull off a gas, so we're not going to have any 2-factor starport follow-up.
Aw, I was really looking forward to something, I don't know, kind of unique there. But no, it's going to be identical, at least for the most part for now. And we did actually see fairly similar builds in that last game. I don't know if like I don't know what if I would characterize like TerrOr as I mean I guess he can proxy you, sure, but I'm not sure that I would proxy after I just lost that game, because then like you're really throwing it all on the board there. So I would say that we have a potential for a pretty decent macro game on our hands here.
Yeah, well, both players have gone for 2 Marines this time. It's a little different from last game. Both players went for 1 Marine, but I don't think we're going to see a bunker follow-up from TerrOr. He does expand. Now, what does he want to do with his extra gas? We're going to see another starport. He's building a vulture this time, so everything looks like what UltrA did last game. And this time, UltrA's the one to get the add-on. And I'm personally a huge fan of add-on first because the tank is so powerful in the early stages versus Terran. UltrA does almost nothing. You just rally that tank across the map. So hopefully TerrOr sends this vulture and gets a bit of damage done, but he may not. Okay, no, he didn't send it just yet. And UltrA's already got a really great opener.
Yeah, UltrA again starting things out. Well, he's giving himself the best chance to succeed that he can. So I'm glad that that's working out for him. On the other side, though, let's see what TerrOr is up to. Extra factory about halfway done, whereas UltrA just now adding his on. Well, speaking of add-ons, we do have that faster tank, and now a speed upgrade instead of mines. So what's up with the difference there, Nyoken?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen speed after this tank follow-up. A lot of what I like to do is build a second tank, get mines, and you just rally vultures with the 2 tanks. So you have 2 tanks, you're going to have a tank advantage if they go vulture first, and then you have mines, which keeps them back. So you can potentially set up a siege, but speed first, never seen it. So I'm curious what UltrA wants to do with this. He may, you see he's moving out right now, but I am not too sure what a vulture run by is supposed to do.
Yeah, and it's not like you're gonna bust through like one, maybe I guess 2 tanks, because I guess the second one should be out here pretty soon. But hey, at least TerrOr sees it, and he's gonna pull back just a little bit here. This is a really cool push, and it looks like the first shot got off by TerrOr, so it's actually, you know, totally rock solid there. I'm not sure what the point of that push was.
Yep, that definitely backfired. Now, I don't know. Okay, well, the barracks just saw the speed vulture, so TerrOr knows exactly what's going on. And now, really, he just needs to just sit in his base or just lay mines all across the center of the map, kind of figure out where the vultures are running by, and then just deal with them accordingly. I guess he has to be kind of concerned about a potential drop, but we see that there's no starport in the main for UltrA, so doesn't have to worry about that for now. And wow, TerrOr is actually the one being aggro despite knowing that there's speed out on the map. Look at what TerrOr has to defend. He would just lose his entire SCV line if UltrA went for it.
Uh-oh, and TerrOr forgot a tank in the middle of the map. So obviously he would like to have 2 tanks here. That would just be pretty strong. Finally, he remembered the tank, and he's going to drag it along with. But it's going to take a long time to get out here. And UltrA pouncing on top of TerrOr's army. He's brought a bunch of SCVs along with it, and they're doing such a good job taking out the vultures in the front and allowing them to push back onto that tank.
Another big misstep from TerrOr being too aggro, and he lost all of his vultures. Meanwhile, UltrA kept a majority of his own vultures. Now they're kind of bleeding off. Okay, also both players, a bit of a misstep. TerrOr or UltrA cannot lose this tank because he has no tanks left. He's just now got mines, and losing all of his vultures too means he can't plant mines anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? That whole concept of TBT, where you set up these big tank lines, set up these big minefields, yeah, they just can't do that one. Whoops. Well, I mean, for all that TerrOr had a great idea there with that push for getting the tank, and then not obviously being able to have the SCVs with it, UltrA really kind of killing it.
Well, TerrOr still has a big vulture advantage. He's got 8 versus 5. And as long as he keeps the tank back and doesn't trigger a mine like he might just do right now, no, he does back off. But he's got good map advantage right now with the mine control. He's got more vultures, he's got more factories, he's got 5 versus 4. Does he have an academy? I guess that's the one thing that's lacking, is he's the one that doesn't have an academy, whereas UltrA does have an academy, so he can clear the mines.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's going to help. Obviously, you don't want to use infinite scans to just kill, 1 or 2 mines here and there, but it is going to help at least clear up these big clumps that are right next to his base. So, what does he have? Let's see, 6 vultures versus, wow, actually a whole lot more. TerrOr is being pretty proactive. I like to see that. He did get the minefield over on his opponent's side of the map, so that's going to make it easier for him to, push back there with his army if he wants to. But yeah, definitely got to be careful about overextending.
Well, TerrOr has now put 3 add-ons to his factories, so his very low tank count is going to shoot up pretty quickly. Meanwhile, I'm watching closely on the factories of UltrA. Okay, now he started to rebuild tanks. I was getting worried that he was producing vultures and Goliaths out of the add-ons. If you do that 1 or 2 cycles, all of a sudden you can be down 4 or 5 tanks, and that could be the difference maker. But he is going to kill this barracks. But we see that TerrOr's already placed all of his factories down, so not a big loss for him. And again, we have another big slugfest going on. 5-fact versus 5-fact.
Yeah, I actually really love watching the players' macro really kick in at this point, because now it's less about oh, I'm a strategic mastermind, but more about I will crush you with more tanks than you have. And then it's all up to, tank shots and how well that works out. And right now, I mean, you can see the supply is maybe a little bit in TerrOr's favor. It doesn't really tell the whole story, because when it comes to the vulture count, actually pretty even. TerrOr maybe with a couple of extra. The tank count, though, actually not really coming into effect too much. Neither player is pushing that far towards their opponent's base.
Well, we do have a difference with the expansions. Both players are expanding basically at the same time. But again, UltrA taking the mineral only, whereas TerrOr's taking the middle base. It has less minerals, but at least it has gas. So he'll be able to consistently build tanks while adding on factories. Meanwhile, UltrA will have to balance his tanks and production. Okay, try and counterattack with these vultures. He's going to lose all of his vultures here. I don't know about this.
Yeah, vulture count, obviously, I mean, they're a little bit expendable because you want to be able to build more with more mines, but neither player's ready to max out just yet. It's okay. You can afford to keep these guys alive for a little bit longer. I mean, I do love that they're trading out units, because at least that shows how even everything can be, but oh, gotta watch out for these mines in the middle of the map. Oh man, those tanks are so close. Oh. I'm just waiting for him to trigger this mine right here.
UltrA adding on his 6th and 7th factory, so he's really macroing hard. He's getting his starport to start getting +2. Meanwhile, that's also what TerrOr has done. He's got an add-on going onto his starport, so he's going to be trying to drop this time, I think, unless he wants to go for another vessel, which he could do now that he has access to 3 gas. UltrA run by to the bottom. How many SCVs can it get?
Waiting to see. It looks like they will get in 2 vultures down at the 6 o'clock base. Nothing there to defend. 2 more come in, and finally, I guess UltrA reacting actually pretty quickly. Doesn't actually lose that much. I thought that was actually going to be a lot worse, but speed vultures are pretty fast.
Yeah, but it did at least kill the SCV that wanted to go to the left side, and we have a Vulture just waiting there. And since Ultra's being active on the map, he may not realize that this SCV is going to get picked off. Meanwhile, a bunch of Vultures getting into the third base, but instant reaction from TerrOr. But this is a lot of Ultras. He should kill these SCVs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's the idea. Gonna run past the tanks, just barely squeezes through with one Vulture, but gonna run into some Goliaths. It'll take it out before it gets into the natural.
Well, TerrOr is starting to get up a scary tank count. He's got 10. UltrA has... Wow, he's got even more. He's got 13. Now, he needs to set up at least an equal tank line across the map if we're just going to camp it out, because we can't let TerrOr start getting an advantage on the left side of the map, because then all of a sudden he's going to have access to that main and UltrA's not. And if we go split map, he's just going to flat out have more bases. So UltrA needs to be very diligent with these tanks and make sure he gets into a good position. But so far, he's just hanging out in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the motivation is to stop him from doing that, but I mean, one of them might be that you need to create like some sort of choke to stop these Vulture run bys. I mean, obviously he has enough just macroed units to stay back there. That's one way to do it. But I really like that TerrOr is kind of stretching his zone of control all the way over to like the 9 o'clock location, just to make sure that he doesn't get flanked by Ultra running around the side and then striking from behind.
Now here we go. Ultra's finally setting up a big tank line. I'd like for him to get more north and on the left side too. Whether or not he can take the left side himself isn't that big of a deal, but he needs to make sure that TerrOr cannot get the left side. And he must get this high ground base, because this Vulture has denied the command center for so long, and Ultra's getting pretty gas starved, whereas TerrOr, he's sitting pretty. He's got dropships coming out. He's got his 7th factory coming up pretty soon. Here we go. Ultra's going to finally kill off this small containment.
Yeah, doing a good job doing that as well. So not really going to allow TerrOr, because you're fighting for the fringes, right? You're trying to say, hey, if I can just sneak over here and cut off this section of the map, then the later the game goes, the more real estate I will have control over. But Ultra's like, no, not so fast, buddy. And pushes him back to, I guess, what is technically double quotes his side of the map. That's one of the reasons I really like Sylphid, is that because it is a 3-player map, and the way that the walls work around the natural or the middle of the map expansions, like it actually does make it pretty crucial. So UltrA taking that over, and now TerrOr, what's next?
Well, if we look at the top side of the map, TerrOr has 4 dropships already out, soon to be 5. He's loading up a drop. Where does he want to go? He needs to make sure UltrA cannot get this left side, but there's so many units over there. I don't know if that can really work out. No, he's not going to drop the left side. He's going to go to the right. And what do we have at the right? Turrets are just barely going to be in time to stop a drop, but maybe TerrOr just tries and drops on top of this mid base, try and bust down there, and then have a positional advantage overlooking the natural.
I mean, I guess that would be a pretty significant positional advantage. I'm actually just waiting for, I guess, TerrOr going for the cloaked raids coming up next. That could be really interesting.
Here comes that drop into the main. 2 turrets, 2 Goliaths. But all the drops get through, and this is in a very dangerous position. All the tanks unload. All the depots are here.
Well, let's see, the counter dropships coming in from UltrA. He's going to be able to drop right on top of these siege to tanks. So in the end, even though quite a bit of damage was done, and maybe he's going to have to rebuild a few depots, I thought that was going to be enough from UltrA, but turns out no. The tanks, the drops, stays alive for TerrOr, continuing to do damage in the back of UltrA's base.
Yeah, and this depot placement is awful for UltrA, because all of his SCVs just get bottled up running in a straight line. The tank, there's 6 tanks here. With +1, they're just going to devastate anything that comes through. And UltrA, he's having to send his entire army back just to defend this one drop. Meanwhile, TerrOr, I'm pretty sure he reloaded a drop somewhere. Maybe not. I see he's unsieging a whole bunch of units in the middle of the map. Where does he want to go?
Well, anytime you see that big unsiege, it's like, well, it's time. TerrOr, though, is it though? I guess he's macroed up a gigantic army. But he has to watch out, because there is a bunch of tanks to the left, like on the western side of the map. So he's gonna have to pull very carefully outside of their sphere of influence. Now rushing forward. Man, Ultra's got such a good spread of maps just everywhere on the map, or of tanks on the map, that it's really hard for TerrOr to push forward without taking some collateral damage. But he's actually doing a fantastic job of it. Gonna take out every tank in his way.
Yeah, there's just so many tanks for TerrOr, but Ultra did kill a lot there. He still has a decent army left over, but now TerrOr's starting to get into that crucial position in the center of the map, cut off the third, the fourth, the left side. And there's a lot of tanks for Ultra on the left side, but unfortunately it doesn't help him at all having them all on the left side.
Yeah, I mean, if he was trying to sneak around the edges, then maybe that would like help, but no, not really. Not when it comes to like fighting against an opponent that's shoving his way through the middle of the map. There's a minefield behind him, and he's very deep tank line for TerrOr, so he's got a long way to pull back when he needs to.
And remember, TerrOr kept most of his dropships alive. I see 5 in the center near his rally point, and if he loads those up and goes back and drops the same position, all of Ultra's units are way out of position. Basically, he has almost pure Vultra at this point, only 2 tanks really at his rally point. It would be extremely hard to defend a drop. Meanwhile, TerrOr's taken top left as a 4th gas. He's taken mid right as a 5th gas, but Ultra's got all of the left side. Just there's no defense there. A drop would devastate almost any position that TerrOr wants to drop.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes players get kind of stuck and they're just like, well, I have to harass this base. I'm like, no, maybe there's another option out there. But I will say that this looks a little bit different than last game, whereas UltrA took every base last game. He's taking every base this game too. But TerrOr this time is getting way out there, and he's on 5 base instead of just like the 3 that he was on before.
Here comes that drop. It's got their eyes set on the same position. There's a Wraith. He scanned there. He sees the turret. He doesn't care. He just has to avoid the mines. Oh, he does actually turn around. And UltrA, he knows about top left. Maybe he'll drop there, or maybe he just wants to reinforce the left side with a little bit of defense with these drop ships that he has. Is he going to try and drop? No, he's not going to try and drop top left. I think he needs to unload right there. Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
And now he's got defense on the left side. It's going to be hard for TerrOr to break the left side now.
Yeah, at this point, the tank line is just like so deep. I mean, even having just a base over here just means that UltrA is going to be so committed to keeping this side of the map up and healthy and hardy. And now the Vulture's running through, going to try to take out one of these tanks that's just kind of left almost as a straggler. I don't know if you need 7 mines to take care of 1 tank, but a lot of them survive. The only problem is they're right next to a turret. So the remnants of TerrOr's control over the left-hand side of the map exist. Things like the turret ring, the science facility, the minefield, like they're all still out there, but there's no units. So TerrOr really doesn't command a lot of real estate, even though he's maxed out.
Well, TerrOr found an opening on the left side. 1 turret, not enough. And he manages to drop mid-left. That command center instantly dies. And there's no turrets at this 4th base either. He could drop, but UltrA's got other plans. He's trying to push through the middle, but he's down 50 supply.
Well, I mean, this is just TerrOr's macro kicking in, and you're starting to see it with this bulldozer right through the middle of the map. It is pushing everything aside or taking it out in its path, steamrolling over that tentative control that UltrA had there. And now it's all going to come down to do or die for UltrA. How do you win a TVT when your opponent has the same units but just has more of them? I would say this is one way not to do it. TerrOr is shoving all the way home. Just such decisive moves, and that's going to do it. GG, UltrA taps out, and TerrOr takes game number 2.
These games have been pretty exciting. Usually people, are don't really like TVT, but we've had back and forth aggression or movement all across the map, fighting for position. Sometimes we see them just trying to flat out bust, which is crazy to me. And neither player is over expanding. Like, we don't see expands off a 2-fact, both players going 5-fact. So this is a really interesting TVT style.
Wow. Okay, well, that's going to do it for game number 2. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I think I accidentally turned my... The host has asked you to turn it... Wow, thank you. Tactful, Zero. So yeah, anyway, that is going to do it for game number 2. Really cool how many 3-game series we've had tonight. I kind of was worried that maybe, I don't know, somebody wouldn't be playing up to their full potential, or we'd have players that were so good they can win the game fast and then everything just ends. But no, we've gotten a lot of 3-game series, and we've seen a lot of really cool, like one player destroys the other player destroys the other one. But actually this time around, it actually feels like both players are doing a really good job, like slugging it out. And I didn't expect it, but I love it. So I'm glad I could be wrong.
Yeah, UltrA definitely didn't let the Zerg games affect him. He's playing really well, and he does have a good chance to actually knock TerrOr out. I didn't really see much wrong with UltrA's play. Just TerrOr, I guess, had better positioning for the majority of the game. But really, it's the drop that won the game for TerrOr. It was just so much damage. It was only 6 tanks, and it killed everything.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, UltrA has done a really good job kind of holding on. Like game number 1, for instance, UltrA lost a little bit of ground, but then took it right back. But that time around, TerrOr, it felt like he was just doing such a good job holding on. So, I don't really know what to expect, but our final map now is Power Bond, an epic way to finish this off. So, couldn't be more excited. And now, let's see if I'm in the game. Yeah, and now we're ready to go. So let's get into it. Our final map of this series, the loser of this game will be eliminated from the BSL, and the winner will go on to face the wall in the final group. So, yeah, let's get into it. It's tied up 1-1, UltrA versus TerrOr. Let's see who's going to make it out. All right, here we go. In the west, our blue, oh man, they're both blue. Okay, never mind. So our dark blue Terran player on the left-hand side of your map, this is UltrA.
In the right side, we have, I guess, just standard blue. It is TerrOr. Oh, I don't know what to expect. I really hope we see that same opener from UltrA, except this time instead of getting speed, get mines, because he would have had the tank advantage, as I stated, and that's a really strong move. That's my go-to TVT build, so that's kind of why I want to see it. I want to see someone else execute it versus someone like TerrOr, who is top foreign status.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like any build that you do go for, it's got to like pass the test. It's not like, oh, I don't think he'll like be solid enough here, so I'm going to exploit it. It's like, well, I mean, what do you exploit about TerrOr? He's just kind of the whole package, right?
Yeah, he's great. And I am a little surprised nobody's been aggro in this series. Like, we don't have any forward Raxes, which you see in TVT often. Now, maybe it's kind of normal to not be aggro on Power Bond, so I actually don't know where you could actually build a forward Rax on this map, but I was a little surprised no proxy on Gladiator or Sylphid, because those are common maps to see 8 Rax. But again, we do have a little deviation this time. UltrA's the one with an 11 gas, but TerrOr keeping it standard with the 12 gas.
Okay, well, for the rest of us who aren't maybe quite so finely attuned, what's the big difference in that like slightly delayed gas timing?
Well, TerrOr's going to have slightly better econ, but if UltrA cuts this Marine, he's going to have slightly faster factory, like 3 to 4 seconds faster, which is sizable. And if TerrOr opens again with that Vulture and we have the straight add-on, it's going to be an even stronger tank Vulture attack from UltrA. So I hope he does go for that. We'll have to wait and see. Rax is done. Watch this factory. 228 factory. There we go. And what's the factory timing for TerrOr? He built a Marine, which usually delays it. 235 factory, so about a 7-second difference. That's noticeable.
It's actually so crazy to me how Brood War can turn into, like, even in a mirror matchup between two players that seem pretty evenly matched, but like seconds can make actually a pretty pronounced difference. So SCV of TerrOr getting in, scouting everything, and vice versa on the other side, not so. So UltrA is going to be a little bit in the dark.
Well, TerrOr needs to keep this SCV as long as possible, because if it dies and he doesn't get to see an add-on, he's pretty much forced to build a Vulture. And he's not going to see it. And now UltrA gets to make the decision. Are we building the add-on, or are we going into the Vulture? Or are we doing neither? There's the add-ons. But
there it is.
TerrOr has to go Vulture. There it is. He has to go Vulture because he doesn't know what UltrA's doing.
Wow, actually so sick that like just not having that information really does kind of dictate the path your build has to take. So UltrA trying to get in with his SCV, but it's a little bit like that let me in meme, not going to be able to make it past the pesky Vulture Marine at the top of the ramp. So TerrOr's SCV actually makes it back home safely. Wow, not often that you see that. And now UltrA's has to go all the way back. Barracks floating over from TerrOr, passing like ships in the night. At least this way he'll be able to scout a little bit more of the main.
Well, this time, Rapid, we do have aggressive play. We've got one base, factory starport, which... Wait, there's an eBay. Okay, well, anyways, it's one factory starport. This was my go-to build in the olden days. I loved this build. But nowadays, with people macroing so well, it's very hard to make this build work. And now that UltrA has shown 4 Marines, if you're TerrOr, maybe you don't know it's Wraith, but you're thinking that this is probably something like an FD. So he's on high alert now that there's definitely some type of timing coming.
Waiting, watching. I've been just like counting the differences between their builds so far. Obviously, the control tower is going to be the I guess most pronounced one. Wait, who was it that went for this the first time? Not the first time they played, but I want to say that. Oh yeah, it was the dropship build that that TerrOr did. I want to say. So we've already seen kind of that idea, but now cloak coming out. I'm excited.
The barracks sees the 4 Marines, still doesn't see the tank and Vulture. He still doesn't know if there's an expansion, but it is, like I said, very unusual to build 4 Marines. But this barracks is going to get put down pretty quickly unless he can get onto the high ground, which he's desperately trying to do. He does not want to be forced to build a racks this fast or an academy this fast or spam out more factories this fast. It's all going to hurt his econ. Here comes UltrA now. 2 tanks. Vulture, I didn't see the upgrade he got, but he definitely has cloak. And I don't see an academy anywhere.
Yeah, I'm waiting. How many things can reveal invisible units here? Not many. In fact, an absolute 0. Well,
No
this is certainly... Yeah, he has no anti-air. He has no detection. I mean, he's got to know that this is a potential, right? Yeah, there's the academy coming down just now, but that is a little delayed.
Well, how does UltrA bust through this minefield? He's got 5 set up. Actually, oh, look how close that mine is. Okay. It doesn't kill anything, but UltrA surprisingly is going to back off. I would like for him, I guess he saw the Vultures run, and now he needs to defend his base. But a lot of times, even if you can't, Vultures actually run through, kill the command center building, SCV gets into the main. No more mine setup, so that's lucky for UltrA, because if there were mines,
yeah,
that would be devastating.
I mean, there's a couple of raids that'll pop out, and maybe this will clear this up. But at the same time, on the other side, Barracks is going to go down for UltrA, so he's going to have to remake that if he wants more factories.
Yeah, well, now I think UltrA's timing is down the drain because he didn't kill any tanks, he didn't set up a contain at the natural, he was forced to turn around. And look at the command center, it's not even finished yet. Look at the SCV count. We're doubled in SCVs, TerrOr killing it in econ. And that's what happens when you go for a one base. You kind of have to deal a lot of damage or set up a container or something. And now that he was forced to turn around, what do you do from here?
Man, going one base and then being forced to turn around, like, it's just everything not going his way. I mean, I get it. You want to try something really interesting. And for a moment there, it actually looked like Ultra was going to really do it. But there's the scan. The Goliaths are out. Will he be able to take out this Wraith? Almost get one of them. And even with two more, the scan, the Charon boosters. Actually, boosters aren't done yet. But even just the Goliaths is going to be enough to push this Wraith back.
Yeah, the Wraiths trying to get as much damage done as they possibly can. But perfect timing from TerrOr. He already had his eBay done. He's getting some turrets up. And now, really, these Wraiths aren't going to be able to do anything. Maybe they can just... No, don't run into that turret.
Ooh! Careful! The one lone Wraith survivor. I'm waiting. What is its fate? I think it's going to decloak in the corner and just chill. But no, actually, he's running it back in. Or rather, running it back out again. But now what is... This is like that Rick and Morty episode with the butter-passing robot. It's like, well, Wraith... What is your purpose? It's like, well, you kind of fly around and stuff. He's like, well, yeah, but like, what else do I do? And it's like, well, you don't really do a whole lot else right now.
Yeah, Ultra's in trouble. He needs to, well, I thought he was going to need to build Wraith because I see a Wraith coming out for TerrOr, but he's following up with drops of his own. He's got his 4 factories coming up. TerrOr can do whatever he wants at this point, as long as he doesn't get contained anywhere, which he's not because Ultra's too nervous to move across the map. And now TerrOr can set up a contain of his own outside of the natural of Ultra, and then with a contain there, he can just slowly elevate her into the main of Ultra and then split the defense. And we know how TerrOr likes to play. He likes to build up that factory count. As soon as he sees units out of position, probably just going to bust through the middle.
I'm waiting to see. Let's see how many. Do we know the factory counts? 1, 2, 3, 4 for TerrOr, and on the other side, we're only on 2. So literally doubling his opponent's production.
Yeah, 92 to 66. Not ideal. Wraith is going to find this other Wraith. Goodbye, Wraith.
Let's see. Where's that dropship? Did I not see dropships being made?
It's at the top.
Ah,
right.
Yeah, there it is. So they're hiding way back there.
Yeah, once he gets up to 3 or 4, it's probably all he needs. 2 is kind of questionable because you're probably going to trade at least 2 tanks and some vultures, and honestly, SCVs can kill all that. So that would be kind of a big loss for TerrOr. But once you start approaching 3-4 drops, now we're starting to get to critical mass. And again, look where all the depots are. If we set up a tank line there, the Sim City is really going to backfire versus Ultra. It's going to be just a repeat of the Sylphid drop, and TerrOr already has a massive lead this game, so it's just going to be doomsday as soon as that hits.
I'm just waiting for what is it? 3 drop shifts at the 12 o'clock or right above TerrOr's base. Like eventually, these bad boys are going to come into play, and there's no turret rings. Oh, I'm just going to get deja vu when I see these tanks dropped right on top of the supply depots in the back of Ultra's base.
Yeah, and this is exactly the plan for TerrOr. He's going to drop back. Ultra's going to unsiege at the front. And look how many factories TerrOr has. He's got 8 facts. He's just still going to throw so many vultures and tanks through the middle as soon as he sees the unsiege, that Ultra's not even going to know what hit him. He's just going to be all of a sudden just completely out of this game. Natural's just going to be completely white. There's so much production for TerrOr right now.
Yeah, TerrOr's killing it. He's kicking into high gear right now. 8. Oh my gosh, just disgusting numbers of factories. And actually, one of the reasons that Ultra was delayed in making his extra factories is because he lost his barracks. And he sent SCVs over to make factories, and he couldn't do it because he needed to make barracks first. So going to be a little bit farther behind there, but finally TerrOr moving into position in the middle of the map, going to try to either bust here, or he's got 5 drop ships in his main ready and waiting for that doom drop.
Yeah, he may have forgot about them because he's moving across the map like he wants to bust. We don't see any movement like trying to load up into the dropship. Honestly, I think he did forget, but it really doesn't matter. Look at his position on the map. He's denying mid-left. He's even going to deny this mineral only because the tanks can shoot the low ground. What do you do as Ultra? I think Ultra should just insta counterattack. If we look at what TerrOr has, it's like pure vulture at this point.
Well, if I think Ultra knows if he doesn't try to counterattack right now, his position only gets worse. Especially once TerrOr remembers that he has 5 dropships just chilling. But TerrOr, I like what he's doing. He's not overextending. He's not leaving himself in a vulnerable position. He leaves like 2 tanks down near the 8 o'clock base, and then just instantly pulls back to the other side of the map.
Well, I hear drops being loaded up for Ultra. Actually, he's the one that's going to drop. And look how far TerrOr is out on the map. Luckily for TerrOr, Ultra's running over mines. He sees it coming, but is he going to run into Goliath? Don't do that!
Oh, whoa! Okay, the Charon boosters are done. It almost loses one of these precious dropships. Oh, he did! He does get it! He's going to take out one of those dropships that had 2 tanks in it. So, that's not what you want to happen. But even still, there's 3 turrets. He scans before he flies in. There's 5 turrets on the southern side of the base. Where do you go? You can't get in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that TerrOr already had a turret ring. No way you're getting in there. And now what does TerrOr want to do? He knows that a lot of units are loaded up in those dropships, which means they're not at Ultra's defense. And we've got a near max Terran army for TerrOr versus not even close for Ultra. Ultra's the one actually going to try and get into position. I guess this mineral only is actually exposed.
Oh no! Almost all the dropships either low or dead, and actually one that has a tank in it going to go down. This is disgusting, terrible. A 50 CS advantage now, 40 CS advantage here for TerrOr. And even though there's a bunch of Vultures trying to fight this out, it's just an overwhelming advantage for our Peruvian Terran.
Yeah, TerrOr just going to clean up Ultra, and this is going to be GG. There's just way too much TerrOr.
Yep, that's going to do it. So GG, congratulations there. TerrOr will actually take it in the end. I was actually kind of believing we were going to see a pretty even match, and it might have actually just been over early on with that Cloaked Wraith build that Ultra was doing. But ultimately, I think Ultra kind of hurt himself with that build instead by not getting enough damage done and then only being on 1 base. So, oh well.
Yep, how it goes sometimes, but the movement from TerrOr was genius because he was in bad shape. It was 3 tanks versus 1 tank and like 4 Vultures, and we had no anti-air. How do you win that? But the movement
You don't.
forced Ultra back, and when you 1 base like that, you can't turn around. And I mean, you saw it. Just TerrOr ran away with the game after that.
Yeah. I mean, really cool to see TerrOr still killing it. I think we all expected TerrOr to go really far, either first or second out in the group, and now we have what we were waiting for in Ioken.
Yes.
A juicy rematch. It's coming up. I'm so excited. Oh, this is going to be possibly the best way to finish off this group. We already had Eon Zerg booster rocket his way out of this group. Almost flawless performance. Really, really strong performance from him. And now we've got a few hiccups for TerrOr and DeWalt. Finally, they get a chance to go back head to head.